Hello, everyone. Hi, Jen in Georgia. Hi, Jenny. Hello, everyone in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Mods, thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. As I know this is earlier, we are also doing a later tonight live for Nancy Guthrie, Sebastian Rogers, and Michael Vaughn. So don't miss that tonight. It's already posted. I wanted to get on here a little bit and talk about Sebastian. And I know it's early, it's earlier than normal. Hi, Teresa. We're going to let people get a second to come on in here. And we are going to, sorry, I have a tic tac in my mouth. Let me take that out. So it's so good to see all of you. We've been doing so much digging in the case for Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian went missing from Sumner County, Tennessee. February 26th, he was reported missing. Last seen February 25th of 2024. It has been 2 long years. The narrative that we have been given, hi Jolie, hi Deanna, hi Cinderella. The narrative we have been given has some omissions in it. And I know that now because of my communication with the detective, the lead detective, Brandon. And the reason I know that is he is now responding to my messages, which I truly appreciate. Hi, April, Real Talk. April, you say, hey, Jay, thanks for getting back to me last night. What did you think about the photo? I am going to have to go back and remind myself because I got so many. Oh, April, I will email you back on that, okay? Hi, Real Me. Hello, Minnie. Hello, Nani McPoppins. Hi, Jolie. Hello, everyone coming in. I let them 66, letting you all kind of come in the house for a second. I will talk to you a little bit about, well, some of you know what happened. April, I remember, but it was late and I was up late and I got up early. So I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I just can't think of which it is because I've sent and received a lot of emails in the last 12 hours. But my friend, I'm glad that you sent it to me and I will look back at it and give you my opinion, my dear. Hello, everyone in the house. This is about Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian has been missing for 2 years and some days. 2 years too long. I don't think any of us thought that we would still be here looking for this young man 2 years later. But we are, because Sebastian's army is strong. We are not going to give up. But there are some things in the public narrative that are not accurate. And honestly, my friends, if things are not accurate, that could be why we're not finding Sebastian. Or, I hate to say this, I hate to say it, but okay, for instance, Katie's movements of that day, when I find out that there's a couple of movements of that day that we don't know about, that weren't ever mentioned, then that tells me, well, I guess that tells me some of the things she did insert into the narrative with now law enforcement knew aren't accurate. So in the beginning, Katie and Chris Proudfoot said that that's the stepfather and the mother, and his biological father, for those of you new, is Seth Rogers. Seth is the one that the deputies from Sumner County Sheriff's Office gave the finger to the other day. I filed a report. Sergeant got back to me. He must be talking to them because I am getting a response now from the lead detective when I submit a tip. So I still think it needs to go out of their hands to the FBI because that just shows their disdain for the father. And when you have disdain, you're not going to work hard. And let alone that guy's badge should be gone. His job should be gone. If you go through the comments in our chats, my friend, so many people who are public servants, wear a badge, are disgusted. They don't even, they said that he's making us all look bad. They make us all look bad. And it does. You get one bad seed and they ruin it for everyone. And I think that there's more than one there because we just don't seem to get a lot of cooperation from them. but I am getting responses. But what I learned the other day shook me, and it made me realize we don't know anything. I truly believe so. Because let's talk about this. KP said, just one instance, that they went to the bowling alley. And then she said the bowling alley was crowded because there was a tournament. So they went into the game area, arcade area, and played games. I want to stop there. That is not accurate. They were there for 10 minutes. They're standing at the counter and they leave. So they were there for 10 minutes. So we know right there that that whole bowling alley trip, which we probably allotted how much time for, right? That bowling alley trip was 10 minutes. Okay. And right from there, allegedly, they went to the Texas Roadhouse, just her and Bubba. And her and Bubba were just the only one, she said Bubba back then. Her and Bubba were the only ones who went to the Texas Roadhouse. Okay. So we know that she had told us they were playing games there, which we would have assumed an hour, right? Minimum, probably. Well, now we know they were there for 10 minutes. So what happened between the bowling alley and arriving at Texas Roadhouse? Where is that extra time KP tried to fill by telling us she was playing video games at the arcade? That's not accurate. So we have an arrival to the bowling alley, just Sebastian and KP. They're on camera. They're there for 10 minutes. And then together they head to the Texas Roadhouse. But we thought the bowling alley would have been at least an hour. So what else is going on that she tried to fill that hour with? They were on camera, yes, but she tried to fill time in their day. And, I don't know if law enforcement helped her with this to try to keep it away from the public, but they are keeping some things from the public. We do not have a real timeline. And that is why our thumbnail today is titled, Why the Public Narrative is False. Everyone coming in, thank you so much for being here. April Real Talk says, April, was your photo about GH, green hoodie? It just dawned on me. If it is, let me know. I could be wrong. Were they meeting someone? That's a great question, April. And I asked us, it was good. Yes, I do remember. Okay. Thank you. Could they have been meeting someone? Of course. When did she take him to get the haircut? Right. When did they buy the matching shoes? But even more so, why is law enforcement working with KP to keep things out of the public? For example, why, when I reached out to Brandon Carter with Darra's post that Sebastian and KP and the niece were at her home that afternoon, Brandon's response was, I am aware of the events of that day. And when I say Brandon, excuse me, Detective Carter. Hi, Wendy. Hello, everyone coming in. I am aware of the events of that day. Well, if they're aware of her, Sebastian, being at Darra's house, the niece being at Darra's house, and KP being at Darra's house just hours before he went missing, why would you hide that? Something had to occur there. And Sebastian's proof of life was after. We saw Sebastian after. That's why this is so confusing to me. Let's talk about this. So she still had the niece with her. She and Sebastian and the niece went to Darra's house. As Darra puts it, they came for a few minutes. What in the world would you have to hide about a few minutes visit? It's clearly evidence, in my opinion. It's clearly, it could either be incriminating, it could be evidence, it could expose a motive, it could connect someone to a crime. That's when you hide things like this. What I don't understand is that law enforcement knew it and it never came out to the public. So it's important, right? So why is the visit to Darra so important that it's a big secret? Law enforcement knows it. KP knows it. And like KP and CP say, law enforcement knows everything. So I think, in my opinion, there's a lot more than what we know, and they do know. I'm just sorry, I have to say it. I do believe law enforcement knows. There's just too much. For instance, when I had the audio on my channel of what was going on in the backyard, Detective Carter reached out to me asking for the audio. Now, if you're saying Sebastian was last seen, and remember, after the videos came out of the people walking through the backyard carrying something, that's when Detective Carter came out and said, oh, by the way, the last seen date is not the 26th, it's the 25th, and we've had that wrong for over a year and a half. Over a year. So I don't, and he wouldn't want an audio. If he thought Sebastian was last seen on the 25th, if he believed that, when I released an audio, something going on in his backyard in the early mornings, he certainly wanted that, didn't he? Because they do know something was going on in the backyard. Let me prove it to you. Oh, I'll get to that. So my point of all of this is, y'all, how do we find him? I can't find my StreamYard. Oh, there we go. How do we find a child when we don't have the correct information? Everyone coming in, thank you so much for being here and welcome in. We do not have the correct information, and precise timelines are crucial when people go missing. Knowing the exact time someone was last seen helps the police determine their routine and where they deviated from it. I am telling you, we have nothing that is accurate, in my opinion. Even the ones where she is caught on camera, even the one like the bowling alley where she is caught on camera, even that one wasn't accurate to the narrative shared with the public. She wasn't there playing video games. They were there for 10 minutes. And again, Sebastian wasn't smiling and happy and having a good time like CP said. That is not accurate. He said he saw the videos of the bowling alley and Sebastian's there having a good time and smiling and he's happy. Really? Show it to us. It's 10 minutes. He's standing there and he doesn't look happy. He looks just not smiling again, not excited to be going there, right? So right there. Yeah, she forgot to mention he got a haircut. And there it is, between the bowling alley and Texas Roadhouse, there's a haircut. And if you look at Costco from the day before, and then you look at the Texas Roadhouse, he has a haircut. Hi, SI. Hello, everyone. So he has a haircut. So Costco is Saturday. We've seen that photo. That's the one that went on the first flyers. His hair, he does not have that bowl-like cut. The bowling alley when he arrives. Now, she wants us to believe they were there, and so does CP. Oh, I saw the footage. He's there having a good time. Really, CP? No, he's not. They're not there having a good time. They're at the desk. They're at the parking lot, and they're walking to the desk, and they're there for about 10 minutes. And again, remember, Chris and Katie say law enforcement knows everything. Oh, Minnie just brought up a point. Does Darra cut hair? That's a great point. Now, Darra said hi, Minnie, by the way. Darra said they were only there for a few minutes. But that could be, I don't know how long it takes to cut hair, really. Probably 30 at least, right? But that's a great point. Another thing I want to ask you all. In this chat, do any of you happen to know if Darra is Sebastian's godmother? And that's a great point, though, Minnie. Does she cut hair? Is she the godmother? So if any of you know if she's the godmother of Sebastian, I would love to know that. Nancy, they sure are keeping the Bower Sox quiet. I just can't help but believe that Alaska trip meant something. Yes, we are going to get into Alaska. There's something I want to look at in Alaska before we do it. But there's a few things we are going to definitely get into Alaska. And I promised Jules, too, that we were going to do that. And I just haven't had time to work on it. Hello, everyone in the house. So we're going to talk about this. But the things I want to point out to you is, if we weren't told she made a stop, and by the way, what are you doing at someone's house for a few minutes? Could a sedative, allegedly, in my opinion, been picked up? I don't know. Could it have been well, okay, here's the point. If it's being hidden from the public and KP has left it out of her narrative, it is very important. Oh, Deanna said she thought Lori was Sebastian's godmother. Okay. I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm just asking because I don't know. Someone mentioned they asked me, and I'm asking you. So welcome in everyone in here. So my point is, we got spaghetti pancakes, but we didn't get stopping at Darra's house. So it is of evidentiary value. Something happened there. It's incriminating, in my opinion. It's important. They don't want people to know she was there. And it's not like something happened to Sebastian there, because we saw him on camera afterwards. So what in the world is the reason that they are keeping from everyone that KP went to Darra's house in the afternoon for a few minutes with the niece? Hi, Frank. With the niece, Sebastian, and KP. Okay, every time the niece comes up, it just seems everything gets really weird, right? If you recall, KP saying it wasn't Melissa's child, and so trying to make us think it's Cassie's child, saying leave her alone. KP saying leave her alone. She's been through a lot. Hey, Raymond, leave her alone. She's been through a lot. Okay, they're very defensive whenever the niece is mentioned. Whenever the niece is mentioned. So I think, in my humble opinion, if we ever find out, because we don't have the truth, not even near it. We don't have anything near it. KP, I doubt she made spaghetti pancakes. She picked up a niece, but I think, in my opinion, I don't want to say it, but she picked up a niece. Okay. She took the niece to Darra's house with Sebastian. That was left out. She claims they went to BJ's and ate, what's it called? Colossal popcorn? They don't have that. It's colossal pretzel. It's just a large popcorn jumbo. See the details she's trying to give us to distract us? That's what's happening. She said they love BJ's because he loves to taste the samples. So she took him there because it's his favorite place. And by the way, it had just opened up that past week in Hendersonville. And she's providing these details. And she's just filling that day until they leave the Texas Roadhouse. And then we drove straight home, no stops. They saw it. They know every move I made. It's on my Life 60. We even have upgraded. They can do this. They can do that. Okay. Very defensive. She doth protest too much. So I'm going to say to you right now, I'm going to show you a tip I received a long time ago. It is a tip that I recently mentioned to my members. It is one I am going to show you. It is one I submitted so long ago. I will be submitting it again tonight, but I want to talk to you guys about it. Are you ready? Buckle up. First of all, I'm going to show you the thumbnail. This is the BP gas station. This is a black SUV, supposedly. Now, this is me putting this together. This wasn't the black SUV. Okay. So, BP gas station. I think it's on 30 Stop Road or whatever that's called, a dark SUV. That's important for you to pay attention to real quick because I received this tip a long time ago and submitted it, and I've never brought it forth. It says, weeks ago, I read a post from someone that was with Katie on the way home from the farewell party, so to speak. The farewell party being the Texas Roadhouse. Someone was in that car. And we have another reason that makes sense. You know why that makes sense, my friends? Someone pointed out to me that then when they were talking about, they knew Sebastian was alive after the Texas Roadhouse because they heard him from the back seat in the car. Did anyone hear them clarify the back seat? I did not, but someone brought that to me because they were talking about that audio and he was in the back seat and he was captured. I didn't catch that. I'm going to go back and look. But that's really interesting because when they left the Texas Roadhouse, where was he seated? The front seat. Please hit that thumbs up. Only half of you have. I will just sit here and wait. No, just kidding. So that's really interesting if that's accurate. If I need to go back for that and look for that audio, I don't know if it was with that PI when they were doing they were being very hard to give information with the PI back in the beginning. It was just Chris Proudfoot was saying things like, well, tell us what you know, things like that. It's just so shady. Parents of missing children don't act like that unless, in my opinion, they know something. I mean, when people approached him, he's like, what do you know? I mean, if a PI is asking you questions and your child's missing, you answer, you help. You don't go, now you tell me what you know and then I'll see what I know. I mean, come on, you guys. So I don't believe even his motive anymore. I don't think we have anything true. You've never heard anything about the back seat. Thank you, Real Me. Thank you. But let's read this tip. Weeks ago, I read a post from someone that was with Katie on the way home from the farewell party, so to speak. The post said Katie pulled over to speak to a sheriff. They spoke for some time, and Katie told Sebastian to get out of the car. I'm glad you guys are telling me that about the back seat because someone had sent me that, and I'm like, wow, that would make a difference because he was in the front when he left. Why is he in the back? Okay. I Spy, we have been digging up information on Lori, and some of you have been started on Darra, and I've been receiving them in emails. Yes. So they're important because they've been left out of the narrative. I'm going to read this again. Weeks ago, I read a post from someone that was with Katie on the way home from the farewell party, so to speak. Who do you think was in the car with her? Remember, many of you saw the footage at the Texas Roadhouse and thought someone may have been in the back seat. Who did you think it was? The post said Katie pulled over to speak to a sheriff. They spoke for some time, and Katie told Sebastian to get out of the car. Someone also sent me that Katie pulled over at the BP and was communicating with someone in a dark SUV. So this kind of all goes together. Della says, I think Chris was in the front seat. So that's interesting. If you recall, a while ago, I said to you all, do you remember when Chris Proudfoot talked about that whole big thing about CPS coming to the home? And of course, rather than taking accountability for the 5 reports, he had to blame Sebastian being a liar. And you're going to get in trouble and all that. And you thought you were going to get me out of the house, my own house. So when I saw this tip, and I had mentioned it to you all a while ago, but I didn't let you know why I was saying that. but I submitted this so long ago, now we can talk about it. Over a year ago. What if this is why I was saying to you, what if they pretended, or what if Sebastian was told he was in trouble for calling CPS, he was going to go to jail? I'm just throwing a weird theory out there. They pull over, they talk to a sheriff. I don't even know who that would be. We're going to skip right over that part right now. And it's alleged he's going to go to somewhere to be in trouble because he called CPS. And Katie tells him to get out of the car. So could it have been Katie pulls over to talk to a sheriff? Maybe they made up some scenario. Well, he called it CPS. That's against the law. I'm going to need to take him into custody. Right? And then they talked I had heard they spoke for quite a bit. Okay. Now this person says 4540. I think that is the timestamp of the video she saw this comment at. I don't know. They spoke for some time and Katie told Sebastian to get out of the car. Yes, Raymond, the BP does have cameras, but from what we have been told, law enforcement did not make it there in time to pick up any footage. That's what we have been told. Now, they also never mentioned the stop to Darra. So there's things that we may have been told that aren't true and things we don't know that are true, which is why we cannot find Sebastian Wayndrick Rogers. And then my next question would be, one of you asked, does Seth know who Darra is? Would he know why they would, is he aware of her? And that's a good question. I'm assuming if she's, we need to dig on her. Yes, we need to dig up on her. Her last name is Nebel, and I'm not giving anything she didn't give out on social media when she made the comment. Okay. Hey, Nick, how you doing? I didn't even know he was in here. Hi, Nick. Good to see you. So we really don't know what we think we know. We don't know. What we think we know, we do not know. Okay. And law enforcement does not have to share with us everything they know. Yes. Thank you, Janet. I see him. Hey, Nick, thanks for being here. Law enforcement in no way, shape, or form has to share with us what they know. However, doesn't it make you wonder why the mother of a missing child's steps are being hidden from the public? Right? If you're asking for last names, email me at crimetimebuzz@gmail.com. I can't spell Lori's. So I will put it in writing for you guys. And the other one is Nebel. So, think about it. I do not know what Lori's husband looks like. That was the question I had for you guys today. I'm sure we can look it up because I have her last name. So I will give you all that. If you email me, I'll give you names and you can start researching. But I'm just wondering, why a missing child who was last seen with his mother, allegedly, according to her alibi, locked in the house at night, gone when the house was still locked in the morning. Why would her visiting someone for a few minutes be so crucial it's left out? We do not have a proper timeline. And if you do not have a proper timeline, and just like I just read to you guys, to show where it deviated from the normal of his life, hi, everyone coming in, from his life, how do you see where things went awry? It's just very strange. So this is something I want to point out to you. We know the bowling alley wasn't arcade games. It was a 10-minute stop. Was it just to get on camera? Possibly. We know after that he had a haircut. Oh, you know what? Darra didn't cut his hair because the niece was with him and it was just Katie and Sebastian at the bowling alley and then went directly, as she said, puts it, to the Texas Roadhouse. So it wouldn't have been that Darra cut her hair. N-E-B as in boy. E-L. N-E-B-E-L. Yes. So that wouldn't have been a haircut because between the bowling we do know that she allotted time in her timeline for a bowling alley arcade games and they were there 10 minutes. So what else happened? Why was she filling an hour or so when it was 10 minutes? What was going on right there? Hey, Holly, thank you for being here. What was going on right there? That we filled in an hour before we made it to the Texas Roadhouse by saying we were playing arcade games. When they left after 10 minutes, where did they go? Is that when they got the haircut? Because he has a haircut before he gets to Texas Roadhouse. Why would you leave the haircut out to the public? Maybe law enforcement doesn't know that. I don't know. No, Detective Carter said, we are aware of the events of that day. Because I had asked him about, did they know there was a stop at Darra's? Because I sent them Darra's post. He said, we are aware of the events of that day. So they must know that the bowling alley was 10 minutes. They must know that he got a haircut and then arrived at the Texas Roadhouse. My other thing is they arrive at the Texas Roadhouse in matching tennis shoes. Were those bought too between the bowling alley and Texas Roadhouse? I can't remember on the bowling alley photos if they both had the same shoes on. I'll have to go back and look. But when were the shoes bought? Did they buy matching shoes? Is that why, and I'm not accusing anyone, I'm asking questions. I'll put this up here because I'm not sure what you're asking. Is that why when Seth walked into the house, all shoes were accounted for because Katie had on a matching pair to Sebastian's? No, because then Seth would not, I'm speculating, then Seth, my friends, would not have, unless Katie bought herself a pair of matching shoes to Sebastian's and then left them by the door. I don't know. It's just all messed up now. It's all messed up. The haircut. SI, when he arrives at the bowling alley, his hair's like we had been seeing it at Costco and stuff, kind of a little shaggy. When he gets to the Texas Roadhouse, he has that little, looks like a new cut and it's a bowl cut. Maybe the haircut after the bowling alley. That's what I'm thinking too. Thank you, SI, for clarifying. So we don't know. So I'm assuming she had her alleged spaghetti pancakes, got her phone call. We went and picked up our niece. And then sometime between picking up the niece and getting to BJ's, because I think that's when the niece then connected with her parents, her mother, was a haircut. Or, excuse me, now I'm getting myself confused. Spaghetti pancakes. Then they have their spaghetti pancakes. They go to, let me think what I'm thinking here. Pick up the niece. They go to Darra's with the niece. And then they all meet at BJ's. And then the niece goes home with her parent. Thank you, Daisy, for gifting the Crime Time membership. If you received this, please thank her. And welcome to the family. Thank you, Daisy. So I think but why can't it be talked about? We don't know much about Darra, so we're going to start researching. Why can't it be talked about? That's what makes it weird, right? It makes it weird that she's been on the news for 2 years, and now law enforcement knows about this. So that means law enforcement may have told her not to discuss that. Or they found out afterwards she had been there. I don't know. I'm assuming they found out before because from day one, Chris Proudfoot and Katie have said law enforcement knows everything. So why is Darra's so nefarious? What time was BJ's? She doesn't give times. Crazy bird. She goes from giving details to being vague. She doesn't give times. She didn't even give times as to when she went into the room and found him not there. Journalists had to pull that out of her. Journalists had to pull that out of her. So it's odd. It's really odd. And SI says, and CB had stated that she was getting her hair done on a Monday. I do wonder now. Yeah. Everything now I wonder about. And that's why I'm saying, did she stop? I don't even know if he made it home now. I really don't. I really, really don't. I've always thought he made it home. But now, when you think about it, I know many of you have always thought, yes, they have been, Holly said they have been very comfortable throwing around law enforcement as a reference. Yes, they know everything. When you're looking for a kid, why do you have to cover the mother's steps of that day? Let's say it again. When you're looking for a kiddo, why do you have to cover that kiddo's mother's steps for that day? Because something ain't right. And if they have that, then they have other things too. So the bowling alley was a bunch of malarkey. They weren't there playing games. They made a stop to Darra's that we didn't know about. Lori's in town. She never speaks of that. Never mentions getting him a haircut between the bowling alley and the Texas Roadhouse. She takes photos at the Texas Roadhouse that no one has seen yet. I think someone from EquiSearch said she saw the photos and they were indeed on her phone, her real phone, not a burner. But how do you know she's showing the real phone? I don't know. Holly, thank you so much for your donation of $4.99 and filling it with green hearts for Sebastian Rogers. That's very sweet. Hi, Jamie. I'm glad you're here catching a live. Everyone, if I have not personally greeted you, I apologize. I am so appreciative that you are all here. Please hit the thumbs up if you would. Let's get this information out there. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, love to have you subscribe. This was very early. I have another one scheduled for in a few hours. And it's going to be Nancy Guthrie, Sebastian Rogers, and Michael Vaughn. We're going to cover all what's going on with them. So this is concerning because we don't have a timeline. And if you don't have a timeline, you're not going to be able to find a person. It's just, timelines are essential. And then my question is, why did this never come out? Did she leave it out to law enforcement day one and then they found out about it? Or did they always know about it and tell her not to reveal it? Right? I don't know. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all you do. Let's bring him home. Amen. Let's bring him home. Thank you for being a member for 4 months, me and you. Thank you so much. So let's go to our next slide. It's just, I don't think we're not going to be able to find a child where we don't have the proper information. This comes from one of my old videos. And it is from surveillance that I believe At Night had put up. No, this is from the camera from the neighbor's backyard, I believe. Nick, if you're in the house and this is At Night's surveillance, let me know. But I think it's from, you know how the neighbor behind them, who's a part-time motorcycle cop, who is the only one who did not submit his footage to the neighborhood group like everyone else in the neighborhood did when Sebastian went missing. He was riding around when they called dispatch in the police cars with them, and he has a very sophisticated system that is night vision and has audio. And this is his, right here, you'll see his storage unit, his little garage storage unit. That is his. Behind, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to blow this up for you guys. I wish I could get okay. The reason I want you to see this This was from 3:06 a.m. And they were trying to show that no one was carrying someone through the backyard. It was ludicrous. SF, I think, put this out now that I think of it. He was trying to say, look, no one's back there. Well, first of all, we didn't say they carried anyone through this yard, right? They were the greenway, the green belt's over this way. This is where they went. This way, down here, this way. Not in his yard. So it was ludicrous in the first place that SF even put this out. Okay. Oh, Crabtree. Okay. Ludicrous. Because this does not prove anything except that there are two people with flashlights standing behind CC's garage in front of KP's bedroom. And it also proves that 3:06 a.m. KP's bedroom light was on. So, again, here we go. Guys, please don't mention other creators in the chat, please. Here we go. So, we were told nothing nefarious happened in the backyard. Those flashlights are just a truck. You know, now, first it was a trash truck. Now it's lights coming from a different direction. Okay. However, a county commissioner whispered to someone of a source of mine that they, at day one at the command post, when they were looking through footage, they saw a dark sedan pull into the neighborhood. It went up Kellen, turned around, dropped off 2 or 3 people near CC's house. They got out with flashlights. You saw the rest, okay? And said this was not random, it was targeted. Now, I'm very upset with that county commissioner for not coming out and speaking about this because they know more than they have let on. And when the county commissioners were begged by some of the residents to please help get some answers for this case, their answers were, if you want this solved and Sebastian found, you need to take it out of the county. That upset me a lot because they are commissioners, county commissioners. If they think it has to leave the county to be solved, then by gosh, you better do it and speak to someone who can do it. You don't sit on your little tush. And by the way, after that statement that I was so upset about, they then voted down term limits and voted down people to be able to speak in the meetings. The voice of the people was silenced, just like Sebastian has been. Yes. She claimed, remember, she says, Minnie, and I went to bed about midnight, and I went to sleep. Well, she doubles down on it. Remember, I went to sleep. No, she's clearly up. Unless there's someone else in the house turning on her bedroom light, but she's awake. And this is someone with 2 flashlights behind that shed. There's 2 people back here. It's blurry right now. I'll have to find out. I'll have to go back and find the originals. So someone was waiting. There's a light here. And whoever put this up, it was ridiculous because SF's like, see, no one's carrying anyone through those yards between the houses. Well, no, because it would have started over here. They didn't say they carried anyone between the CC's home and the Proudfoots. We came out this way on the side and went out and then went that way. So it wouldn't have been right in front of his garage in the backyard. A lot of deception. And again, law enforcement would know. I'm going to put that up there. That question. Wait, there. Law enforcement clearly had this too. And people in the command post were talking about the people getting out of the flashlights and then the car went down to the corner. But they stopped by this very house and got out with flashlights. Well, guess what? There they are. There's 2 people right there. They would have come down this way. Let me show you. Let me show you. Okay. If they got out by his house, like the commissioner said, the dark sedan stops, they go up Kellen, they turn around, they stop by Cece's house. They let I think she said 2 or 3 people got out with flashlights. Well, guess what? They walked the perimeter of his yard in between their yards. Look at this. There they are. You can't deny it. And KP, who says, I went to bed at midnight and I slept. I was sleeping. Mm-hmm. Nancy Grace asked her, did anything wake you up that night? No. Well, why is your light on at 3:06 a.m. then? And please don't say it's Sebastian's room because it's on the other end of the house, on the other side, in the front. KP. So it all fits what the county commissioner said. They got out by Cece's house. 2 or 3 people got out with flashlights. And look at this. There they are hiding. So they walked to the right side of his yard, down the way, in between KP and Cece's house. And there they're waiting. Right there. Her light is on. 3:06 a.m. County commissioner saying it is not random. It was targeted. You do not have to worry about your children. It's a shame the sheriff didn't tell the public that, right? I mean, this is alarming. It fits the entire narrative, the truth. This fits the truth, right? It fits the truth. And Veronica says, I think he made it home and was carried to the car. And that's the whole thing is I go back and forth. I've always thought he made it home till I heard there was a stop on the way home. I mean, here's the truth. Yeah, because why would the sedan be there if they weren't carrying him to the sedan and we saw the images, right? We've seen those images. I showed them to you. I'm not prepared to put them up to you right now because I would have to block the name of the individual who has it or who gave it to me. You go back and forth too, Jenny. I do too. And if you're in the bushes, we're just chatting right now about a few things going back and forth. Did Sebastian make it home? Did he not make it home? And please weigh in on the comments if you'd like to. We'd love to hear from you in the bushes. So that's my point is look at this. There they are. You can see 1, 2. Let me show you where you can see my cursor. 1, do you see this person? 2. So exactly like the county commissioner said. And I'm going to share something else with you all. Did you know one of the county commissioners lives right in the neighborhood, supposedly? Mm-hmm. One of the county commissioners lives in the neighborhood. We haven't heard him speaking up for Sebastian. So this makes us see they must have made it home, right? And this fits the exact truth that the county commissioner whispered. Up Kellen, turned around, was about 3 a.m. Captured about 3:06, she said at the corner. Ish. Well, here they are. Look. They're probably waiting for the car to show up. Or the car is pulling up. Got out. Car pulled over by Cece's house. Got out. And here, 2 people, 2 or 3 with flashlights got out. And if you look at the map, they can walk right up his yard line to KP's backyard, and they are hiding behind his backyard. In between the 2 backyards is where they're hiding here. It is 3:06 a.m. and KP's lights on. You are looking at the truth. Here's the lie. I was asleep I went to bed at midnight. I was sleeping. I did not hear anything. My dogs did not bark. I did not hear anything. I was asleep. That's not the truth. The truth is my bedroom light was on at 3:06 a.m. The lie you've been told. Hi, Jen. The lie you've been told that the lights in the backyard were a trash truck. Ludicrous. If that was a trash truck, why is Sebastian's chore to take the trash can to the end of the driveway in the front of the house? Do they think we are stupid? The other, you've been told that lie. She's sleeping. That's a trash truck. They've never mentioned the sedan. But they knew. They watched them get out of the car by Cece's house. They watched them with flashlights. And then they were at the corner by about 3:06 a.m. and it's a dark sedan. So here's the truth, but we're told the lies. Then we were told, now law enforcement, they can lie. If it's investigative and it's important, they can lie. And they do, because they don't need everyone knowing everything. But this is different. Because a mother who said she was sleeping when her child disappeared has a bedroom light on with people waiting behind the neighbors with flashlights. And you recall I had an audio. We have an audio. And when I put out that audio, lead detective Brandon Carter reached out to me for it. Why would you want an audio when you said nothing was happening in that backyard, that was trash trucks? Right? So you have to look at the truth here. Mom was awake. People are there with flashlights. That's not a trash truck, and that's no truck with headlights. You're looking at the figures right here. Okay? That's your truth. We also have images of Sebastian being carried through the backyard. That is a truth. Nebel. You're going to have to email me for the spellings at crimetimebuzz@gmail.com because I can't spell. I don't know Lori's off the top of my head. I think it's Greek. It's a long name, but it starts with a K. Welcome in, everyone. So here is your truth. And the county commissioner's, her entire rendition fits what we are looking at right now. They are people with flashlights. She stopped at Darra's, never been mentioned. That's why you can't find children when we don't have the full story. Okay? Where's my slideshow? Come on, guys. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Oh, sorry, y'all. Let's see. Okay. Oops. Sorry, y'all. Before we go back to the slide I just had, I skipped one. And there's a reason I skipped it. Because something else has been left out of the narrative. And I have Lori up there. That's her friend Lori. I have Lori up there because I have a source who reached out to me way back in the beginning. And they said, Lori told me, Katie's friend Lori was there, which we knew. I'll go back to it, Queen. I will go back to it in a second. And if you're in the bushes, someone's asking, what is that light on the side of that fence? I will go back to it in just a second. I'm going to put it up so I remember it. There you go. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Okay, I have a source who said Lori was in town. Her friend Lori was in town. And she told me that morning of the 26th, she told my source who told me that Katie told her the neighbor's footage captured a silhouette inside the house in the window. The neighbor's footage captured a silhouette inside the house in the dark at the window. And it's important because we do know Laura was there. Lori was there. Lori told my source told me. So KP told Lori they captured a silhouette in the window. Okay. When you first hear that back 2 years ago, you think, "Oh my gosh, how scary. KP must be freaking out." Then you think about it. Why in 2 years has she never said someone was in my house? I'm terrified. Someone was in my house. They captured a silhouette in the window. Someone was in my house when we were in bed. Never. She never says it. Never says it. Black silhouette caught in their home, looking out the window, probably looking for the 3:06 a.m. car to pull up. No, because it was right around when she went to bed, right around midnight. Right after she went to bed and turned off the lights, the silhouette appeared in the window. Okay? So around midnight, if that's true. We've heard her bedtime's changed a little bit. Remember, it was 11, and one time she went to bed an hour after Sebastian, which would have put it 10. So if you are a mother and your child's goes missing while you're asleep, allegedly, and you find out from the neighbor the next morning that they have captured a silhouette of a person inside your home, it's standing in the dark in the window, would you be screaming that to law enforcement, to the public, everything? Of course you would. Yes, Jenny, Darra posted online that they came by for a few minutes. So what did they do in that few minutes that is so nefarious no one can know about it? Deanna, thank you. Deanna, thank you. Email it to me, sweetie. Email it, please. crimetimebuzz@gmail.com. We don't want to put it in the chat, please. Thank you. You all are the best researchers. Don't forget to email me, Deanna, please. crimetimebuzz@gmail.com. So, especially because the public is looking, a lot of the public is looking at her, hi Jasper, because she can't tell one straight truth. So you would certainly say, listen, there was someone in my house that night. They captured it on they captured it. It's on footage. But she never says that. In none of her interviews has she explained that they captured a silhouette in the window. That would be terrifying. Melissa, I'm thinking that too. Melissa said, could Ella been there because this was premeditated and she was a part of it? Could be, possibly. Thank you, Deanna. Could be, possibly. I've also, by the way, since I released this information about Darra, I've also received an email from someone going, well, Darra was in Nashville. That's why she made it there so quick. Prove it or disprove it. Because they like to distract us, don't they? Hi, Anne. How are you? Good to see you. I'm sorry, honey. I'm not looking at the comments right now. I'm just looking at the ones that come up at the bottom while I'm talking, or I get so distracted. Jay, I just emailed you something. I need you to go look after you get off. I sure will. Thank you, Anne. Hi, Kylie. So if you've got a silhouette in your home captured by the neighbors and you are allegedly sleeping in your room and your son's missing, you would be screaming. I would be. I'd be saying, when there was someone in my house, I can prove it. It's right here on footage. Someone took my child. But she never says that. She never says that. That's another thing that is left out of the public narrative. Who was in the house? Could that be CP? Yep. Now that we know there's so many things that are not true, unless I see an actual photograph of him sitting in, I'm not believing it. I'm sorry. I don't believe it. I do not believe, in my opinion, that he was in Memphis. I just don't. I believe he nefariously was there. But here's what's interesting. She just doesn't tell the public. So who do you think was standing there? For her not to be terrified that someone was in her home and her child disappeared? She's not screaming that from the rooftops. She's not saying to everyone, it wasn't me. Someone was in my home. Well, guess what, KP? Now I'm going to challenge you on that. If someone was in your home captured on footage, you have told us the door was locked when you went to bed. And that was seconds after you turned out that kitchen light that the silhouette showed up in the window. How did they get in, KP? Why weren't the dogs barking at them, KP? When you saw it on the footage the next day, why didn't you go to the public and say, help us, there was someone in our home who took our child. Here's the proof from the footage. Someone was in the house with KP. They were captured in the window. Her alibi is either a lie, she wasn't there alone, or, this person was there all along, this person was there in the house with her. And she knows them because that's why she's not afraid. That's why she's not begging for people to listen to her that someone was in the house who took her child. That's why her dogs didn't bark. They were familiar with this person. That's why the neighbors didn't hear dogs barking. Which leads me to believe it is a family member, a close associate, or a good friend who is standing in that window. And it also, in my opinion, CP could have been. Because why were the dogs put in the pen? They're only put in the pen when who's home? CP. So she's never, ever defended herself by saying someone, and she shouldn't have to defend herself, but her timeline, she can't keep anything straight. So there are cover-ups going on here. So she's in the home. Someone's in the window. Sebastian's in the home. Yet, a few hours later, KP's the only one in the home. It's locked, and this person's gone, and Sebastian's gone. So why wouldn't you be freaking out saying he took my kid? He or she took my kid. Because you know who it was looking out the window, and you know what their purpose was while they were looking out the window. Left out of the narrative, such a crucial piece. She said she was home alone, but she never mentions the silhouette in her window of a person. Her alibi is a big, fat lie, in my opinion. She proves it. And I will not believe CP, anything that comes out of his mouth, in my opinion. Because if they're lying about a stop to Darra's, they're lying about the silhouette in the window. They've lied about that 3-hour phone call so many times. Oh, I need to bring that up to you. Remind me to cover that phone call. For those of you who may not have been here when I talked about it. Actually, I can talk to you about it right now, so I don't forget. They've lied about that phone call. Okay? I don't believe he was in Memphis. I believe he beat it there in the early morning to have his little tush in that crane. I don't believe the audio of the guy with the alibi. I don't anymore. I've listened to it over and over again. I've discussed it with someone else. No, I don't believe it. I think it was yet another distraction because think about it. The guy said he was going to the bar. Well, if you're going to the bar till after midnight, how are you driving a crane at 5 a.m.? That's just one of them. Okay. Do I think maybe CP had someone standing by his RV? That could be. Putting on the skirting? That could be. Did they make up that he was putting on skirting? That could be. But I don't believe CP wasn't there. I'm not accusing. I'm just putting it all together. Someone standing in the house, the dog's not barking, Katie not afraid, Sebastian gone. Let's talk about the phone call. In the FB, so they've told us, Chris Proudfoot, we were on the phone. Oh, just so everyone knows, he interjects it. Never asked, interjects it. I just want everyone to know, crystal clear, full transparency. All law enforcement agencies know, even TBI, that we were on the phone. The mother and I were on the phone for a good 3 hours. Now, agencies have verified, vetted, and everyone knows about that call. Well, if you're on, and we went to bed at midnight, and Katie says, and I was sleeping. Okay, no, you weren't. Your light was on at 3:06. And I am going to go back to that picture for someone who had a question. I'm writing it to myself right now. Okay. So goes through this whole scenario. I lost my train of thought. But I just don't buy it. I do not buy it because there's too much we're learning 2 years down the road that are not true and that is omitted. Why is Lori's visit such a hush-hush secret? Queen, I was told when Katie was turning off the lights of the home, and going to her bedroom, right after that is what I was told the silhouette showed it up in the window. I don't have a timestamp for you. My person was told by Lori. He might have been wearing a skirt to cover his granny panties. Frank, you're so funny. You are so funny. So, the phone call. They say it's 3 hours. Then KP one time said she went to bed at 11 o'clock, which would have put the phone call, what? 2 hours. Another time, KP said she went to bed about an hour after Sebastian. That would have put the phone call 1 hour. The FBI update, Brandon Carter states, KP heard before 10 p.m. Okay, Sebastian went to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. KP says 9. Brandon Carter says between 9 and 10. Right there, our timeline's messed up again. No, that's Lori in the picture, her friend Lori, who's from Illinois. Thank you, Jen, for answering. So Brandon Carter says, Katie says Sebastian went to bed at 9. Another interview, she says she let him stay up a little later that night, but she didn't give us a time. Brandon Carter says, in the FBI update, between 9 and 10, Sebastian went to bed. Sometime before 10, now see how none of this works. Sometime before 10, Katie hears a loud bang. Brandon Carter introduces a bang. What's wrong, Rachel? Hi, Rachel. Jay, I apologize in advance. Wreck coming in, but I'm doing best I can. Oh, Rachel, we're here for you. Are you okay, hon? You okay? Everyone check on Rachel for me, please. Rachel, we're glad you're here. We are glad you're here. Oh, yes. It's very upsetting. Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean. If you're in the bushes, I'm listening to someone who just entered. I'm so sorry. I was reading. Okay. So Brandon Carter introduces the loud bang. He says it was sometime before 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. Katie hears a loud bang. Then he says Katie called her husband in Memphis. Oh, he also says she went to bed at midnight. Then he says Katie called her husband in Memphis and they were on the phone for nearly 2 hours going to bed at midnight. Well, if you're on the phone for nearly 2 hours and you end at midnight, you're calling your your husband after 10, right? Nearly 2 hours. 10 to 12 is 2 hours. Nearly 2 hours means after 10, Katie called Chris, which means after the bang, Katie called Chris. So something was going on there. After the bang, Katie called Chris. Chris and Katie's first interview, the journalist says, and the stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, said, the emotional roller coaster all began Sunday night. But Katie says, it was a fun, normal night. He was in a good mood. We had a great day. Journalist quotes him. The stepfather, Christopher Proudfoot, says, the emotional roller coaster all began Sunday night. Yet, Katie tells us the emotions began at 6 a.m. Monday morning. So we need to go back to that night. The bang was before she ever called her husband. So what was going on? What was going on? Thank you, Let Them, for the super sticker. You're so sweet. I appreciate the $3. Thank you. Oh, that's so cute. And thank you. That's adorable. Thank you. And someone else had just put something up there. Daisy, thank you for gifting another membership. We're growing the family, everyone. Don't forget to be there Saturday. I do know I'm tutoring Saturday, but in the morning, I think, before I see you all. Thank you so much. And please thank Daisy if you receive that membership. Thank you, Daisy. Let me get that down. Oops. Thank you, me and you. Thank you for your support, Daisy. Thank you so much, Holly. And thank you, Let Them, for your super sticker. You all are adorable. You're wonderful. You're generous, and I appreciate you. Have you all noticed that our chat, we never have like chaos in our chat? You all are amazing. Mods, thank you. You're amazing. So it's just weird. So we do not have a timeline. So if all these things are coming up that aren't accurate, don't tell me the one thing that is accurate is Chris Proudfoot's in Memphis. I'm sorry. I won't believe it. I will not believe it. I just won't believe it. Because if we have so much that is twisted around, prove it that he was in Memphis. I'm trying, Queen. Prove it that he was in Memphis. I'm not buying. I mean, we've heard what comes out of his mouth. So you cannot tell me the one accurate thing in this timeline, in this scenario, is Chris's alibi. You just can't. I won't buy it. I'm trying, Queen. Okay. Yes, that's a great theory. CP left. Here is a theory by Queen. CP left his phone in Memphis connected to KP. He most likely had a burner phone, and she did too, so they could make it look like they were on the phone together, and she hung up at 3 a.m. Very good theory. I've often thought that too. And when he was asked if he had set the phone down or if he was holding it and talking the whole time, he refused to answer that question. And by the way, remember, when he doesn't want to answer a question, what does he say? Law enforcement has told me not to. Oh, Rachel, thank you so much. So good to have you in the chat. Thank you for your donation of $4.99. That is awesome. Thank you so much. Hugs and kisses back at you, my friend. We're just glad you're in here. Yeah. How would he be the most credible, right, Rachel? That's not happening in my world. I'm sorry. I just can't. He's foul mouthed. He's rude. He mistreats people from day one. He said things to Seth of, what if this goes south? That was in the first hour. What if this goes south? We've heard him say, Seth, if you're going to continue to blow this thing up, like threatening him. Then remember when Seth admitted that Bobby Simmons from TBI, the lead, told him something? Chris goes, he hasn't told you anything. And Seth said, yes, he didn't. And Chris goes, well, if you repeat anything of what Bobby Simmons told you, it'll be the last words out of your mouth. Right? Remember that? He's allowed to threaten whoever he wants. The last word that comes out of your mouth. So what would Bobby Simmons know that Chris Proudfoot, the stepfather, was told, but waited to tell the biological father? And it's so bad that Chris Proudfoot says, if you open your mouth with what you were told, you won't speak it again. I'm paraphrasing. Right? Rachel, St. Jude has him there in the morning, but that doesn't mean he didn't drive up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm not buying his alibi. They've left out Darra. They've left out Lori. She said she was asleep at midnight. We see a light in her bedroom. They've said the lights were trash trucks and then other truck lights. The county commissioner said 2 people got out. They drove up Kellen, turned around. 2 people got out with flashlights. 2 or 3, I think she said, got out with flashlights. And we're going back to the truth because one of you wanted to look at it anyway. Okay. And that is the truth. Someone asked, what are the lights near the fence? So do you all see my cursor when I do it here, or do I have to go inside? These lights right here, where do you mean? This fence right here? That could, I don't know. Let me go in and see if that's another person. Nope, they're leaves. So I don't know what that is. I'm not sure which light by the fence, but this one right here, this light is KP's bedroom. This light is 2 individuals standing with flashlights, lurking in the backyard waiting. Now, if those 2 people with flashlights broke into KP's house, stole Sebastian, who was the person in the house? The silhouette in the window. Yes, Veronica, he had plenty of time. He had plenty of time. Who's the silhouette in the window? We've got people outside. We've got one inside. Rachel, I had this pic from long ago. SF had originally put it out on X claiming it would prove that no one was carrying Sebastian through the backyard or through the greenbelt. But what they failed to do, they thought we're idiots, is show us Chris C's backyard right here. Okay, well, you wouldn't be carrying him that way, right? You wouldn't carry him through car's backyard. No one said that. You would be carrying him here. Look here's KP's house. They're standing right here. Here's her light on at 3:06 in the morning. So if they were coming out of Sebastian's home, here is the side of Sebastian's home. They would have come this way, which is why this home caught him on camera too. There's another camera right here, right next door to the left that got him on camera. So they would have come this way between the houses and that way through the belt. So SF was trying to throw us off by showing, look, no one's being carried through there. Well, guess what? You just showed us KP's bedroom light on at 3:06 and 2 flashlights waiting behind C-Car's garage, behind his backyard and behind KP's backyard. And we also have a person who's a silhouette in the window. So of all the things we know, please, I can't buy that Chris Proudfoot alibi is the only truth. Right? Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate y'all. Very interesting. So now that we're finding there was a stop to Darra's house that was never revealed. Hold on. Let me get. Hey, Lisa, I see your comment. Are we still talking about this same stuff? Crap, CRAP? Yeah, the kid's still missing. What do you want us to do? Turn our heads like Mama has? So, Lisa, let me ask you a question. Since we're still talking about this crap, we have found out that Katie made a stop to Darra's house in the afternoon that you didn't know about. So, of course, we're still talking about it. He's not home. Get out of here. Sorry, friends. I usually don't do that, but I have about had it. She won't be in anymore. I'm not putting up with it. And I'm sorry, you all, I let that get to me. But I'm not going to put up with someone saying, are you looking at this crap? Sebastian is not crap. He's not home. The lies are crap. She's banned from the community. I banned her, you guys. Yeah, she's going away. She's gone. So we don't have any truths. The only truth we do know is they sat, hi Grave Crimes, is they sat at Texas Roadhouse and had a meal. Remember, she even lied about what he was eating? Thank you, Veronica. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't usually act like that. I'm just tired of people mistreating Sebastian, trying to silence Sebastian. Well, she probably didn't know we just revealed another stop after 2 years. I am telling you, nothing is to be believed at this point, except for the fact that they stood at the bowling alley for the 10 minutes we know of, and they were sitting at the Texas. She even fibbed about what he ate. She said she took him there to eat his favorite salmon and asparagus. That's not what he's eating. She's snapping photos she never shares. He goes missing a few hours later. Those aren't the photos she gives law enforcement. Why? I don't know. Who were they meant for? She says they were meant for CP so he could see he finished his salad. Why is it any of his business if the child he has reportedly had abuse calls on 5 times eats his salad? So he has another point to make him walk on eggshells? So this is now, some of you asked me who else is in this photo. This is, you remember Katie's hair at Texas Roadhouse. Here's her hoodie, matching shoes to Sebastian. We won't get into that. This is her friend Lori. And someone told me, and I do not know this, so I'm bringing this to you. Someone said that is the neighbor Michael. I don't know who that is. And if you all know who this is, that would be helpful. Okay, let's talk about it. Chris Proudfoot was quoted, he put his foot in his mouth in his first interview. First of all, for those of you who do not know, when they had, yes, Alaska's coming. I am going to do a show about Alaska. I'm writing that down again. I'm working on it. There's 2 things I want to look up before I do it, and they might take a little research. I'm looking for something. Okay. CP's alibi. He was put his foot in his mouth on their first interview. And for those of you who do not know, when Sebastian went missing, the first things, because local creators have told us, the very first thing they heard about this is that the parents did not want their name out there, and they didn't want their home photographed, their last name or their home shown. Now, if you have a child missing, why in the world are you worrying about your name? Why does CP try to make everything about him? Why does CP not have one person in Tennessee who likes him and has stood up on his behalf? Why does he have cousins who say he's very possible of doing this, capable, being involved? Thank you, Grave Crimes. Thank you. So CP's alibi. Hadn't seen Sebastian in weeks till the day he got there at 1 p.m. Weirdly stated. Second of all, the emotional roller coaster all began Sunday night. That's how he's quoted from his first interview. 8 days after Sebastian went missing. And KP tells us everything was normal till Monday morning. So the shortly before 10 a.m. bang is something, in my opinion. But it's not random because you've seen the flashlight standing by the house. You've seen Katie's bedroom light on. A county commissioner said the dark sedan pulled up, let people out with flashlights, and then pulled to the corner. So this all started Sunday night. It wasn't a big shock when Katie walked in his room at 6 a.m. Monday morning, in my opinion. Something happened between getting home and, 3 a.m. And have we ever been told that while they were home, because we know he loves his Switch. She says they get home, she's dealing with Chris, her classes, all these different things that she's throwing out there. And Sebastian's in his room. Well, did Sebastian log into his Switch? I'm receiving an update that I'll read to you guys at the end. Remind me to read the update. Hi, Jenny. Right? Come on, guys, let's stick with it. So also, he says it's been weeks. Hasn't been home in weeks. He was at a school meeting the week before at the high school. They did a live with Olivia after the first, I'll make sure. We'll look at that. I think March 20th was Olivia's. I watched it the other day. And I think it was the same day as Nancy Grace's was released. I don't know. We'll have to look at it. Thank you, Rachel. He was at a meeting at the school the week before, I think it was. So it's not that he hadn't been around. And also, he was at Texas Roadhouse for a Valentine's meal with KP and Sebastian. It was not exactly on Valentine's Day, which I think might be their anniversary. It wasn't exactly Valentine's Day, but around there. But they were celebrating it, and something happened because CP got up, got mad, and left. Can you imagine? Of course I can. Yeah, she can really multitask, exactly. So he was in town for their big Valentine's meal. That was just 2 weeks before, 12 days before, or probably 2 weeks before Sebastian went missing. Sorry, guys, that was my dog. He's being very dramatic because I'm on. That was 2 weeks before. But why are we lying? Why are we saying we haven't been home in weeks, a month? No, he was there for a school meeting, and prior to that, he was there for a Valentine's meal with Sebastian and KP and Texas Roadhouse, claiming he got mad about something. I can't remember if it was the food order. I can't remember if it was something being ordered for Sebastian. I don't remember the details, but he got mad, he got up, and he left. Yes, SI, he got mad because of the tater tots, allegedly. I mean, come on. But the point is, again, another piece of the lie. So I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that man was in Memphis all weekend. Remember, Silvers found out he had a 4-day weekend. They were off Thursday. Were they off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Yes. They had a 4-day weekend. Silvers had found that out. So are you telling me this guy, he's got really no friends that we know of, sitting in Memphis all by himself for 4 days not having to work? No. I believe in some of that surveillance footage that we saw of the Bowersox homes the day before, a couple days before. I believe his truck was in that driveway. Was he staying there? I believe he was in town. It's a guess. It's me, but I think I saw it in the surveillance photos. I don't believe his alibi, and because there was a silhouette in the window, I do not believe Katie's alibi because she was not home alone. She's never mentioned the silhouette in the window. She keeps insisting she was there with her and Sebastian. How did the person in the silhouette get in the house? I mean, they wouldn't have been standing there right then if Katie didn't know they were there. She just turned off those lights. Interesting, to say the very least. But you cannot get me, if we're adding Darra and we're adding Darra after 2 years, it gets out that Darra, she stopped at Darra's. We find out the bowling alley, they were not playing games. They stopped 10 minutes probably to get on camera. He has a haircut between the bowling alley and Texas Roadhouse. They're wearing matching shoes, probably so she could put hers by the front door, allegedly. I'm not accusing anyone. We are speculating because we have to, because there is no truth. And there is no timeline, my friends. So, Della, I don't know. Someone's saying they heard it was his first day of work. I don't know. I'm not sure. But we're not going to allow someone to come in here and call this crap because this child's still missing. And we're tired of people trying to pretend he's not. You keep talking about people till they get home, you monster, Lisa. Okay. So y'all, the FBI update, they were only on the phone less than 2 hours. It was after the bang. She called him after the bang. So I don't know what the bang was. I have no idea. That's right, Crazy Bird. No child is crap. Right, Rachel. Right, Nomi. Hi. Hi, Nomi. So you're not going to get me to... Sorry, excuse me 1 second. I'm getting some memos at something. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Let me see. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. Okay. So out of all the things, I'm not believing him. I'm not believing him. Out of the things, I'm not believing him. Thank you, Crazy Bird. I'm not usually like that, and I'm embarrassed. But thank you guys for supporting my little... Hi, Dan. My little outburst. I'm just not going to let someone come in here and talk about this case like it's crap. That's how Sumner County has treated it. That's how everyone else has treated it except the father. And except Sebastian's army. Okay. So, let's keep going. And this is something I'm going to be... Oh, sorry, y'all. That's for your show tonight. Tonight, we're going to be on with Sebastian, Michael Vaughn, and Nancy Guthrie. Did anyone check the local haircutting salons like Great Clips that have in and out service, no appointment necessary? I have not. I would hope law enforcement did when they saw the difference in his hair. Well, you know what, though? Law enforcement, I've Thank you, SI. Law enforcement, Brandon Carter went to Texas Roadhouse. I read to you all the redacted conversation a long time ago to that audio, but Texas Roadhouse said that Brandon Carter showed up and left a card. And they tried to call him back many, many, many times. And he didn't respond. And he never returned. So what they did, hi NorCal, thanks for being in the bushes. What they did was sorry, got distracted. They saved the footage because they saw a green hoodie come in and they saw a vehicle out in the parking lot that was in the parking lot for over an hour and never came in. And that's very unusual there. And then green hoodies standing by Katie's car, then walking through the restaurant after Katie and Sebastian leave, entering using the bathroom and leaving. They had never seen green hoodie before. So when we heard that statement that they claimed and the FBI statement that it was a regular customer, employees state it was a regular customer, that is not at all what I heard with my own ears. Okay. They thought it was weird. They thought green hoodie was weird. They thought green hoodie looked like a certain person that we all think green hoodie looks like, the female. And they saved the footage on their own. When Dog got it is when Katie went running in. Suddenly it mattered. She needed to see what happened at the Texas Roadhouse. Well, if you cared what happened, you would have been there 6 months before because they came in after 6 months. She never went in to see, can I see the footage to see if anything was weird going on? If I notice anything weird? Because my son's missing. Never. But when Dog got it, she raced in there, made a scene during lunch. I have a source who's friends with the manager. Made a scene during lunch, was asked to leave. Why would she care suddenly if you're just out having a lunch or a dinner with your son? Why suddenly did it matter if it got in the hands of someone who wasn't Sumner County? I mean, she's very telling. She has been telling, in my opinion, on them for a long time without even realizing she's doing it. When Ellie turned up that morning, was Katie alone or was someone others with her? That's a good question. She had to turn around from the school to go back, is her story as to why she didn't search the school now, because she made such a big deal about searching the school. Now she approached and had to turn around. That would give her reasoning, in my opinion, to loop through the school and end up at the storage unit where Kathy Bowersox was allegedly sitting. We'll go back to that, though. So I do know, Bridget, what I can tell you is when Seth arrived, Mama Sox was there. Or when Seth arrived, Lori was there. Now, Mama Sox is claiming she didn't arrive till 10:30, when originally we heard much earlier. So, like I said, 2 years in, no straight answers. It should have mattered, Show Poodles. You're right. It should have mattered 10 months earlier. Didn't, because if something nefarious happened at Darra's, something that shouldn't have, that she did, maybe picked up a sedative, maybe she bought DRUGSs. I'm not accusing, I'm just speculating. They hid it for her. And remember, she kept saying law enforcement knows everything. So she doesn't care if they have the video for some reason. But as soon as it got into someone else's hands, she needed to see what was captured. And yes, KP, it was captured with you walking right up to Green Hoodie, your hands out, a conversation, Green Hoodie tapping the window on her way out, someone else crouching down in there and possibly getting in your back seat. That is what I saw. Did you see that when you went? Oh, you didn't get the footage. You had to watch it with us. That's right. You weren't interested 10 months before, allegedly, in my opinion. So, Bridget, to answer your question, all I know is when Seth arrived, Lori was there already. I'm not sure if Mama Sox was there when when he arrived. And I'm not sure if who else was there, but I do know that Lori was. Then we have the problem with the county commissioners. You all know when we started looking into the county commissioners a year and a half, 2 years ago, we got our warning, stay out of the politics of Sumner County unless you live here. And they tried to send a really scary face. Hi, DJs. Thank you for being a new member. Welcome to our family. Thank you. And the county commissioners were at the command post. I'm not going to say which ones. One does live in the neighborhood. One asked, okay, I don't know how to propose it without, thank you, Crazy Bird. Okay, I'm going to propose it first. They all were watching the footage day one at the command post. Day one. But I want to real quick go back to the night before when they tossed Seth's house. Right? Now, Seth found out his child was missing, raced there at 8 a.m. He arrived a little after 8. Lori's there. Katie's there. Chris is not there because allegedly he's coming back from Memphis. But then later on in the evening, they say to Seth, let's go check your apartment. They go to Seth's house and they just toss the place. And he doesn't mind because he's not hiding anything. Let's find any clues, right? You're not going to find anything here. But then when he says, well, I'm going to go back and search, they said, why don't you stay put? Wait till tomorrow. And then we have another sedan comes through the neighborhood. I mean, it just makes no sense. Why would they keep him there? And apparently a sedan went through that night too around 3 a.m. And the night before he disappeared is what I think another creator uncovered. But why would they tell Seth, whose child is missing, no, you stay here, come back out tomorrow? That's losing 12 hours. What was going on over there at Stafford Court that law enforcement timed searching his apartment and kept him there and told him to remain? I'm going to go back over there. No, you stay here. What in the world was going on that they didn't want the biological father there? And you have county commissioners whispering from the command post because they were watching the footage day one. And that's another thing I was told is when they were watching that footage, they kind of asked Seth to step away. That's what I was told. And they're watching a sedan. They're watching people get out with flashlights. You name it. You got a county commissioner whispering to a friend, a neighbor, whatever. Oh, it was targeted. You don't have to worry about your kids. We saw a dark sedan pull up in the night around 3 a.m. People got out with flashlights. He was targeted. Then you have a county, hey Dan, then you have a county commissioner, and I don't know if it's the same one, who asks, who's in charge of budgeting, because the search, remember, is going on, who asks a TBI agent, according to my source, asks a TBI agent how long they think this search is going to go on for. They're trying to get a grasp of the budgeting. And the TBI agent says in response, where he is not coming back from. Where he is, he's not coming back from. A source very close locally, located close. They didn't toss KP's house. No, not that I saw. They looked, but they didn't toss it. They tossed Seth's and then told him to stay put because, in my opinion, someone was cleaning up their mess over here on Stafford. That's my opinion. But who would make a father wait 12 hours to get back out there and search, or 10 hours or 8 hours or whatever? Any hours. You wouldn't, unless something's up. You just wouldn't do it. And then you have a neighbor who didn't turn in his very sophisticated camera footage. The only one, by the way. And he was at the command post watching that footage. So they all saw this. They all know there was a sedan there. They all know it's people with flashlights, mind you. Because they explained it. And we just watched it. Oh, thank you, Heather. And then he's also driving around when dispatch calls in the morning. We hear him on that they've got the neighbor in with him. Well, that's the motorcycle cop, part-time motorcycle cop. He's also at the command post watching all this stuff. And they have a vigil for the neighborhood Tuesday night. CP and KP don't show up. They send an aunt. Now I want to know which aunt, right? They send an aunt and an uncle, I guess. And at that vigil, the neighbor, CC, is asked by other people, because they knew he was at the command post, so what happened? What's going on? And his answer, his eyes filled up with tears. Now, mind you, we're talking about a motorcycle cop. His eyes filled up with tears, and he said, "It's bad. It's so, so bad." He had tears, and he left the vigil. Then we find out a county commissioner lives right in the neighborhood. County commissioners are asked and begged by a few people. I know who they are. Sources who've told me this. To please help with Sebastian's case. Help us. And their answer was, if you want Sebastian found and this case solved, you will have to take it out of the county. The very Sumner County commissioners knew it had to go out of the county to be solved. Yet, after that, they don't help, by the way. They're not helping. They're afraid to do it themselves. They should have taken it out of the county. They should have spoken up. They should have had some backbone. But instead, they sat in their little seats telling the people, you got to get it out of the county if you want it solved. It's corrupt here. Okay? And then they voted for no term limits, so they could just sit in that chair for as long as they wanted, doing nothing. And then they voted for no people speaking at their meetings, because the people's voices mean nothing to them. They just silence their people. Right? Hold on, I have a message I need. So let's see where else we are. That's shocking conversations, right? And Lori's presence has been hidden too. So I do believe KP did stop at the BP and spoke with a dark SUV. I did show you all the tip that I received that someone else was in the vehicle and said she pulled over, talked to someone that looked like a sheriff, is what they said. They didn't say the sheriff. They said spoke to a sheriff, and KP had Sebastian get out of the car. But that doesn't make sense to me. Then why would the 3 a.m. car be there? What's the 3 a.m. car doing? Right? Let me go through some of your questions real quick here. Let me come up to the top. Thank you all for being here. I am coming on back on in about 4 hours, so okay. So many reserve glitchin says so many lies and fraudulent slips. I thought from the beginning who had the means, motive, and opportunity. Mix in Sumner County's corruption and continued cover up is despicable. I agree. So we have no real events. The silhouette's been erased. Silhouette in the windows never talked about. Lori's not talked about. Darra's not talked about. A stop on the way home is not talked about. If that indeed happened, I didn't see it with my eyes because there's no footage, of course. They don't talk about the sedan they all watched at the command post. They don't talk about it pulling up near C. Carr's house and people with flashlights getting out and then continuing on down the road to the corner. But I just showed you that truth. So they don't talk about someone in the house with Katie. So her alibi is a bunch of you know what, which tells me I'm not going to believe CP's alibi. Out of all this baloney, he is not the one I'm going to believe. So I believe he was in town. So let's see. Let's see if there's any questions you guys have. And I'm going to be on again in about 4 hours. What if they arranged for him to be taken exactly where they wanted him to go, to that school with horrible reputation? What if he's hidden there? Seth didn't want him to go there. Sherry, I'm glad you said that. That's a great theory. And I want to talk about this. So we have, and I have the emails. I have the emails where KP and CP were inquiring about putting Sebastian into a school called Bledsoe. And Seth responding after he did his research, didn't want Bledsoe, had reached out to, I have her name, I have all that, but I'm doing this off the top of my head. Had someone actually look for programs that would fit Sebastian because he had trauma, remember, and, autism and needed ABA therapy, all of that. And once he had a list of schools, because they obviously didn't research Bledsoe with the abuse, or maybe they didn't, I don't know. But once they saw the school Seth put forward, and I believe that was in end of December, they said, I guess it's too expensive. We're just not going to do it. He goes missing about 6-7 weeks later. So is it such a far stretch to think they found a school, they put him in it, and they just jumped over the biological father and pretended he didn't exist like they did when the CPS people showed up 5 times? Allegedly, in my opinion. Right? So it's not a far stretch, in my opinion, to think they continued with that mentality. We just can't deal with him. We want him out of the house. He's causing problems. And they continued on. So that is not a far-fetched theory at all. I think it's a good one. Let's see here. Sebastian has been let down by CPS and LE in Tennessee. It feels like that, doesn't it, when we're 2 years down the road? And apparently, they were denying, Craddock was turning down interviews on the 2-year mark. And then he put out that thing, that statement, that release. Why wouldn't you want to speak about him? He's missing in your county. You speak about your election. Why wouldn't you speak about the missing child? Then one news station said that they talked to him and he said, I'm paraphrasing, the truth is they haven't had any new leads in a long time and they hope Sebastian comes home soon. Listen to that statement. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what they said. They haven't had any new leads in a long time. Really? I'm sending leads. Are you guys sending leads? They haven't had any new leads in a long time, and they hope for Sebastian that he comes home. Something like that. Mhm. That was the sheriff said that to one of the local stations. Sheriff Craddock knows that Katie pulled over at BP on the way home. All the neighbors know. She was talking to a dark SUV. You know, Green Hoodie wasn't a homeless person. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That she would walk nose to nose with a homeless person and just stand there and have a conversation for about a minute. Hi, Nomi. Everyone, I'm trying to. Okay, when Ellie turned up, was Katie alone? Okay, we got that one. I don't know, but I do know when Seth showed up. What's her face? Lori was there. See, I'm trying to get to a few questions. So if you believe, not to mention what mother of much worth stays after knowing your husband was abusing your son? 5 visits. In my opinion, that's someone who's rather have the life they live. She liked the life they lived, the Bower Sox money. Because you got to think about this, y'all. He's just a crane operator. I'm not saying just like that's not a good job. And she was doing her brinks. They weren't making some big incomes, but yet they had all the toys, motorcycles and fifth wheels and trips. That's because the Bower Sox are flipping for it. Just like he flies in on the Bower Sox coattails from day one, saying to the neighbors, "Do you know who my mother is?" Okay, he doesn't make it on his own, in my opinion. He doesn't even have one friend who came out on his behalf. Not one. Not one. He even had a cousin say, or it was a stepbrother or cousin, I can't remember which or both, that it's something he's very capable of. So this Jenny says, right, at Patricia, what's to hide about an innocent dinner? Right. If you're just having an innocent dinner where you ignored your child and took secret photos and really didn't speak to him, and you said you did it because you wanted to spend time with him and take him to his favorite place, and it was all innocent, just like Darra's stop, if that was innocent, why are we hiding things? Because it's not innocent. This is not an innocent disappearance. This is not an innocent runaway. This is not this investigation, for him to say we've not had new leads, I'm flabbergasted. I will send him absolutely everything I have sent him in the last 2 years that he hasn't paid attention to, so he can get to it and have some leads. I've sent him 2 in the last couple of days, but I'm going to keep them coming. Yes, Jenny, where he did not eat fish. Oh, or a salad, by the way. Yeah, she said she took him there for salmon and asparagus is his favorite. He didn't eat that. And in the beginning of the case, if you were not following it, she put out a picture pretending that was the day. And it wasn't. They were sitting on the same side of the booth, both smiling and happy. Right? And didn't at night. This is another one, guys. Remember at night posted that they just sent them that thousands of documents and tips? So how can that was before the 2-year mark, right before it. So how can Craddock remember all those batches? And I haven't even gotten to those with you yet. All the redacted photos from their, intel. So all of those batches were sent to them. And Craddock says we haven't had any new leads recently, but we hope Sebastian comes home. Well, how about you give us the actual events of the day, the true alibis, so people can actually look. Because you know what, y'all? I believe Chris Proudfoot and I believe Katie Proudfoot that indeed law enforcement knows everything, because they were saying that all along. They stopped saying it when she said it on a local interview. They were trying to get a comment from her about the $50,000 reward. And she said, no comment. If you want law enforcement, you can talk to law enforcement. You're not going to talk to us. And then they kept saying, law enforcement knows everything. Law enforcement knows everything. Okay. We are going to end here, and we are going to be back on in just a few hours for Nancy Guthrie, Michael Vaughn, and Sebastian Rogers. So we're going to keep going, and I will be on in, I think it's about 3 hours and 45 minutes. I will be back with you all. I already have the thumbnail out. We're going to cover three of those three cases. Hi, Nick. We're going to cover those three cases. We're going to make sure we get some of this stuff that we're uncovering back out. We just need to keep going with it, because we do not know what happened that day. We do not know where Katie was that day. She's left long periods pretending she's playing games. She didn't. Hold on one second. I'm just going to pause for 1 second. Okay. So we are going to continue to uncover these things. We don't know anything. I don't believe there were spaghetti pancakes. Fun fact, I made breakfast that day. I don't believe that for a second. Okay. Hold on, you guys. Okay. So I'm going to play you guys one more thing. It is a new tip. There's a Russian memo. Okay. I'm going to play you a new line. I guess it's a new tip line for Sebastian, but it includes Summer now. And oh, you know what? We're going to get to that at 8, because you guys are going to have questions about it. Oh. Now I'll just play it now. Okay, we're going to call this. We're going to listen to it. It includes Summer on the call and some other things that you may not. Hi, Frank. I'm glad you were here too. It says new line. It includes Summer, but there is something we want to listen to the whole thing, and it does talk about corruption. So stick with us. Stick with me, my friends. I have not listened to this yet.
If you have credible information regarding misconduct, corruption, abuse of authority, obstruction, retaliation, evidence tampering, conflicts of interest, fraud, or any comparable wrongdoing connected to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and/or Sumner County Republican Party in Sumner County, Tennessee area, you may submit that information to our review desk via email at corruption@atnight.agency.
Thank you for calling One World Switchboard. Please note that this call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance and security purposes. At Night Creative Intelligence Agency, a division of One World Society, backed by Dog the Bounty Hunter, is intensifying its search for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, who has been missing since February 26, 2024. Additionally, they are searching for Summer Moon Utah Wells, who has been missing since the 15th of June, 2021. A reward of up to $550,000 is offered for any credible information that leads to Sebastian and/or Summer's safe return and the arrest of the responsible monsters.
I'm sorry.
This message will be played in English and Russian due to intelligence indicating that individuals who may possess relevant information could be Russian-speaking. You have reached the information and tip submission line regarding the disappearance of Summer Moon Utah Wells. Summer Moon Utah Wells is a child from the United States who went missing on the 15th of June 2021 from Rogersville, Tennessee. Her whereabouts remain unknown, and the search effort continues. And the search effort, the 4 par. If you have seen a child who resembles Summer, or if you have any information that may help determine her location, we ask that you share that information with our team. Information can include sightings, photographs, video recordings, online posts, conversations, travel information, or any other details that may help investigators understand where Summer may be. You may submit information to our team by email or by text message. If you send an email, please include a clear description of what you observed or learned, along with the date, the location, and any supporting photos, videos, or links that may help verify the information.
Monsters.
If you prefer to send a text message, please include the most important details, what you saw, when it occurred, where it occurred, and any description of people, vehicles, or surroundings that you remember. If you are willing to be contacted, please include a safe method for us to reach you. If you prefer to remain anonymous, you may state that at the beginning of your message, please do not put yourself in danger or attempt to confront anyone. If you believe a child is in immediate danger, contact your local emergency services immediately. Thank you for taking the time to listen and for any information that may help bring Summer home. Now, the same message will be repeated in Russian.
No. Okay.
Здравствуйте.
Nick, are you kidding me right now?
Линии приема информации по делу о пропавшем ребенке Саммер
Kidding me, Nick?
Муньюта.
Are you in here?
Саммер Муньюта Уэллс, девочка из Соединенных Штатов, которая пропала 15 июня 2021 года в городе Роджерсвилл, штат Теннесси. Ее местонахождение до сих пор неизвестно, и поиск продолжается. Если вы видели ребенка, похожего на Саммер, или располагаете любой информацией, которая может помочь установить ее местонахождение, пожалуйста, передайте.
This is not a joke, and I'll explain why.
Информация может включать наблюдения, фотографии, видеозаписи,
It's for
публикации
Summer
в
Wells.
интернете, разговоры, сведения о поездках или любые другие детали, которые могут помочь понять.
You were with me the other day. There's an alleged sighting in Russia.
Вы можете отправить информацию нашей команде по электронной почте или текстовым сообщениям. Если вы отправляете электронное письмо, пожалуйста, укажите, что именно вы видели или узнали, дату и место, а также приложите любые фотографии, видео или ссылки.
Because she might be in Russia, so they're having to communicate with Russians right now,
Если вы
guys.
отправляете текстовое сообщение, пожалуйста, укажите основные детали, что вы видели, когда это произошло,
Blame dog.
где это произошло, и описание людей,
Okay, we're done.
автомобилей.
Okay. And do notice that that Russian was not for Sebastian. That is for Summer. Let me make sure I've got everything. Yeah, that is, they only want information on Summer from Russia. And that's why they don't bring in Sebastian's name. Because if you were with me during a live the other night, I started to have tears, if you recall, because while we were on, I was informed that there was a possible alleged sighting in Russia of Summer Wells. And so the reason they have this new tip line is to include Summer in there. And as they're coordinating and talking to Russia, and Russians are going to be calling back, they have to have something in Russian too. So that is the story, my dears. It is crazy, right? So that's why you didn't hear them say Sebastian's name in Russian, because that's not part isn't about Sebastian, the Russian part. So, but if you have corruption, you know where to call now. If you can prove, if you've got some things, hold on. I've got another message. 1 second. And at night did approach me and showed me a photo of the little girl in Russia, because I had covered the case for so many years. She was my first case, her and Michael Vaughn. And then they also approached the parents. My honest opinion, I'll tell you, I saw the photos. Yes, initially it looks very much like Summer. It does. However, she looks like she's got brown eyes. Summer has blue eyes, but we don't know if that's the camera, taking a picture in a Russian classroom kind of thing. So we don't know if that's the camera or not. But they're trying to work on some facial recognition and all of that. So, okay. And so now let's call that, if you have any proof or anything you want to talk to them about corruption, misconduct, any of the above, you can call this tip line and you can submit it. And they will be gathering all of it together. And it's, again, for Sumner County Sheriff's Office and Sumner County politicians. So basically what I just shared with you about the commissioners, I'm going to call it in. What I shared with you about Darra's visit being hidden, we don't know. But I don't know. But call it in, share the corruption you've noticed, share the misconduct you've noticed, and everything they asked for from the politicians. For instance, we have commissioners who's sitting there at the command post. They know, but they're not speaking up. They're saying, you need to take it out of Sumner County to get this solved. Well, what use are you then? And they keep reelecting the sheriff, who they're telling us you have to go over his head if you want Sebastian to come home. My friends, thank you so much for being here. I know it was earlier than normal. I will be on in a few hours. I'm going to eat some dinner, walk my dog, relax for a minute. We're going to come back on for Nancy Guthrie, Sebastian Rogers, and Michael Vaughn. Excuse me. So thank you so much for being here. Please hit the thumbs up if you haven't. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love for you to subscribe. It helps us out a lot, and we'd love to grow our big family. Okay, Teach, you said to remind me of something at the end of the live. What was it? What was I supposed to remind you at the end of the live? Minnie, text it to me if you remember. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for being here. I will see you in a few hours. Justice for Sebastian. Thank you, SI officer. Justice for, and yes, SI officer, I will reach out to you. I saw your email, and my answer is yes, and I will reach out to you. Justice for Sebastian Rogers. Keep Seth in your prayers, everyone, all the missing children. And if you see something, please say something. Thank you so much, and be safe, my friends.